So you want to get into Star Wars books, but you don't really know where to start. My name is Jacob from the channel Lightspeed, and also I'm a co-host on the podcast That's Just Great. And don't worry, I've got you covered. I love reading Star Wars books, so much so that it's actually kind of a problem. And I think the biggest question that you have to ask yourself before you start reading any Star Wars books is, do you want to read canon or do you want to read legends? If you don't know what I'm talking about, that's totally fine. Canon is everything within the current Star Wars timeline, and Legends is everything that was published before Disney's acquisition of Lucasfilm. So let's start with what's currently canon. If you're looking for a giant multimedia project, The High Republic is definitely the way to go, and you're going to want to start with this book here, Light of the Jedi by Charles Soule. And believe me, there's enough books and comics within the High Republic to definitely keep you reading. But if you're a fan of the prequels or the Clone Wars, I'd highly recommend starting with Brotherhood by Mike Chen or reading Dark Disciple by Christy Golden. Both of these books are fantastic reads, and I highly recommend checking them out. But what about the originals, though? Well, if you want to jump into the Age of Rebellion, there's plenty of options for you. But if you're a big fan of the show Rebels, like I am, I would honestly recommend starting with A New Dawn by John Jackson Miller, which is actually one of the first books that was published for the new canon. It's also the story of how Kanan met Hera, so if you love those two characters, you'll definitely enjoy this particular story. Also, one of my personal favorite Star Wars books that I've ever read is this one here, Reign of the Empire, The Mask of Fear by Alexander Freed. This book takes place directly after the events of Revenge of the Sith, and basically is about the galaxy's transition from a democracy to a galactic empire, and how some people are trying to put restrictions already on the empire. It's honestly one of the best Star Wars books I think I've ever read, and I highly recommend checking it out if you haven't read it already. And last but not least, if you're a fan of the sequel trilogy like I am, I would definitely recommend starting with the Aftermath trilogy by Chuck Wendig, which covers everything after the events of the Battle of Endor and Return of the Jedi. Or you can check out Shadow of the Sith by Adam Christopher. Whether you love or hate The Rise of Skywalker, it's a good read. Or you could check out Star Wars Phasma, which is basically just Mad Max Fury Road in space. But like I said, if you're interested in checking out some older Star Wars books, I think the best way to get into the expanded universe is, and I'm not the first person to say this, with the help of Timothy Zahn's Thrawn trilogy, beginning with Heir to the Empire. All three of these books are honestly fantastic reads, and they help to pioneer the way not just for the expanded universe, but to set the standard for Star Wars publishing. These books are definitely recommended by a lot of people, but it's rightfully said. I mean, these books really kicked off the EU with a bang. But let me know your favorite Star Wars book down in the comments below, and until next time, may the Force be with you.